yeah, there's a moment that always stands out was when I just joined TUCAN TUCAN. So before that, I used to do waitressing, and like when you're packing, you're busy behind the scenes and you're watching them do a sound check. You're like just kind of taking that in. And then there was that one day when shortly after I joined TUCAN TUCAN, and I was about to do my second performance with them. I was doing a sound check on the Cape Town International Jazz Festival stage at the CTICC, and I was doing my sound check, and I saw that girl packing the fridge of the bar on that side, and I saw a reflection of me as when I was then, and I think that was quite a moment for me. Yeah, it was like a full circle sort of moment.
My next guest I met many years ago when she came walking into my edit suite while I was working at ETV News. And she was there to sit in the edit suite and shadow me for the day. And all I did while she was sitting there for the day was encouraging her not to become a video editor. Hi, Cindy, how you doing?
I'm good, Siraaj. I'm good, and it's so good to see you.
Do you remember that?
I remember it. I do remember it. I do remember it. It was such a long time ago. But
But when you came into my edit suite, you were there because you were a student at a photography school or something like that. Just remind me again.
I was at Pentec at the Art and Design School at Pentec studying photography. And so maybe and so I was doing a shadowing job on at ETV with the cameraman and within the editing suites also.
You did a bit of a flip of a career choice.
A complete flip. Yes, a complete flip to I moved to the stage as a singer. So so not behind the camera any longer, but for me the stage feels like more in front of the camera.
They are all I need to please me. They can stimulate and tease me. They won't leave in the night. I've no fear that they might desert me. Diamonds are forever.
What was your first break?
What was happening was that I was working at Sasani Studios at that time at Film Lab. You remember Film Lab and the
Yes.
Yeah, I still used to get your wife there also. And then I found out about an audition. They were looking for tribute shows or people in performance for tribute shows to go to Spain. So at high school, I did a bit, of training in drama and dance and music. And I was like, yeah, well, I can do it. Let me try it out. When you're that age, you're like, let me try anything out. Like the world is your oyster sort of a feel. And I was doing the grind at that time at Film Lab, working night shift and things like that. And then I went for the audition, and then I got in, and then they said, okay, you'll be leaving in 2 months' time or a month's time, I think. And rehearsal starts like this time, and immediately everything flipped. And I just needed to adjust so fast.
Did you grow up in any way influenced by music in such a way that, like, oh, if I had this opportunity, I would take it? Or was this just totally out of the blue?
I think for me as a teenager, I always felt that strong pull to music. And then after that, when I started with the program, I think it was in 19. Must I give years, or shall I just give my my grade, my standard? I'm going to say standard. Standard 7. I was in standard 7, and Volkswagen was doing a music active program. And I was at Belgravia High at that time. So it was like kids of the community and 15 kids from school. And the world that we entered at that point of not the streets being your playground, but rather the stage and workshopping and dance and music and drama, and that then set in so strongly, and it felt like it was me, you know. So I did that for 2 years, and also part of the productions thereof. And I guess when you get a feel and a taste for the stage and for the theater, you can't let go of it, and you're always chasing it.
What year was that when you left for Spain?
For Spain, I left for Spain in 2002.
And was that your first travel overseas, or was that like, how was that whole experience?
It was my first travel overseas. Was it? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was my first travel. It was very exciting. It was lots of hard work prior to that because I was working night shift and I was rehearsing during the day. So rehearsals would start from 10 to like 4 or 5. And then I start my shift at 9 o'clock at night or whatever time, because, you know, in the film industry, whatever time the film comes in for processing, you wait until all the jobs have come in. So I used to get home anytime between 12 and 6 in the morning to wake up again for rehearsal at 10. That was an intense month of rehearsing. When I went to Spain, yeah, it was exciting. I think I felt a little bit. I think you feel like you immediately you're still so used to being taken care of, and immediately I felt being thrown in the deep end where I just needed to sink or I was going to sink or swim, and I needed to take control, and that sort of feistiness came in or kicked in.
So when you say take control, so that means obviously the company that hired you would sort you out with accommodation, at least transfers from where you need to be. So were you at a resort, or did you guys move around? The band that you were part of moved around the country?
So we lived in a house. We were groups, different groups, like depending on which tribute show you did. And then we either shared house or lived in a house together with your group. And then we do one resort or hotel per day. And it was a good training field because I'd work for 2 weeks. Like we'd have shows for 14 shows and then 2 days, or 14 shows and then 2 days off. So it was quite intense.
I remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a memory of you appearing in the South African Idols auditions.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So when you appeared in the South African Idols auditions, was that after or before coming back from Spain?
That was after. I think it was. I had 2 contracts in Spain, and I think it was between 2 of them, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so I had been already and come back and felt like I would rather want to kind of set a career here than having to travel all the time. And also I felt like there was more growth within this space. There would be more growth within this space than for me than there. So I stepped onto that stage, and yeah, that was also an experience, a day of experience.
And what did Randall tell you?
My song choice wasn't great for them. I think, yeah, I remember my song choice wasn't great for them, and they felt that that just threw them out, that my song choice wasn't.
Do you remember what song it was?
I think it was Natural Woman. I'm kind of feeling that.
And then, so you didn't go through.
Well, I wasn't a natural woman at 22 yet. So they were quite right. You know, it was a bit of a matured song for me.
Okay, so you done that, and you were saying that that was in between your performing contract of Spain. And then how did you come to settle back in South Africa, Cape Town? And then what was your next big gig that, you know, like cemented yourself here in South Africa, Cape Town?
I had an audition with the band TUCAN TUCAN, and then that just opened up a new world.
Losing myself, falling for you, out of control, falling for you. You are the spice of life, falling for you.
Our band leaders, Frank Paco and Ludo Marco.
Yeah, because I know Frank Paco from Days in the Galaxy when he performed with all the virtual. I think he was part of virtual jazz reality.
VJ Art, yes, VJ Art. Frank comes from that.
Yeah, but I always remember him as the Beacon drummer, and he was brilliant. So just give us a sense of what is the band, what style of music, and
it was so original music, everything written by the band. I stepped into the band when they had just completed their second album, and then I learnt the music and I performed the music, and I didn't get the opportunity to record with them, which I was so looking forward to. However, I didn't get the opportunity. We didn't record at that time. Live performance was just our thing, and it was happening so much in that space. Yeah.
Losing myself, falling for you.
And then, but a lot of your songs were also in non-English. So how did you get manage that process?
It was hard sometimes, Siraaj, because so it was in Spanish or Portuguese or Shangaan. Yeah, there was quite a few languages, but that's what TUCAN TUCAN kind of wanted to bring across to their audience, that no matter if you spoke another language, it is the music that brings us all together.
When your time ended with TUCAN TUCAN, then what did you end up doing?
So I had that conversation with them when I had my first child. I was like, how am I to be a performer and a mother? This is just, how do these two worlds meet? Because if you're a live performer and you're moving from side to side and with a young baby, it just didn't quite relate to me. Maybe I don't come from that type of background to be able to link it also. And I was like, no, this is not. And I want to be the primary caregiver for my daughter. And then I kind of had to make the decision that I was going to leave the band and I was going to be with my daughter as a primary caregiver. The thing is, even though I had made that decision, I still felt like I needed to be there. Like, I think when you learn that you still have to take care of yourself, and take care of myself meant that I still needed to nurture, to give myself something. And so I still found myself on stage with gigs here and there, but more low-key, corporate type of stuff, no traveling, nothing like that really, you know.
My love has come along. My lonely days are over.
I kind of linked myself to NGOs also, where we worked with kids to inspire. I used to be part of a program called SMAC, School Music and Arts Challenge. We did the road shows, inspiring kids, making them also believe in themselves, and not to reach that, but also to build confidence within the individual. And that's also like quite a passionate a thing that I'm quite passionate about, just creating inspiration or bringing inspiration in that types of ways for the youth.
What are you currently working on now?
COVID has been, the pandemic has held the entertainment industry down, Siraaj, and back completely. But the clouds are clearing slightly. My next performance is at the end of April. It is it's the Zuidooster in association with Artscape, doing an extravaganza and bringing people back to the theatre, just making people aware of that the theatre is open, it's alive, we're still there. There'll be different acts, dancers and trapeze artists and singers, and I'll be one of the singers performing at the Piazza at the end of April.
Looking back at your career that you've had, what would be the most highlight experiences you just need to share with, like, I have to share this with you?
I think for me, there's a moment that always stands out was when I just joined TUCAN TUCAN. So before that, I used to do waitressing and just, when you're young, you do anything. Before Spain, I did waitressing here and there as like extra income and stuff. And I always, like when you're packing, you're busy behind the scenes and you're watching them do a sound check. You're like, just kind of taking that in. And then there was that one day when shortly after I joined TUCAN TUCAN, and I was about to do my second performance with them. I was doing a sound check on the Cape Town Jazz Festival, Cape Town International Jazz Festival stage at the CTICC, and I was doing my sound check, and I saw that girl packing the fridge of the bar on that side, and I saw a reflection of me as when I was then, and I think that was quite a moment for me. Yeah. It was like a full circle sort of moment. Yeah.
And wow, it's powerful. So what advice would you give to aspiring singers?
First and foremost, for myself, I didn't have any formal training, but my heart was there. And so the training that I have was by experience. My experience had started from the age of 15. But I always felt like I would have wanted to be directed in a space of formal training. So I would firstly say, no, get to know the art, get to know those parts of it, and then feel your way forward from that point. You know that it's always there and it's always in your heart and it's the driving force behind everything, but just equip yourself with the tools. And also always believe that what burns in your heart and feels right for you is what is right for you. Don't question that. Don't question it, because when you question it, you're kind of throwing yourself off. Don't question it. I am a singer. I am a performer. I am a musician. And this is how I am going to make myself that person. I don't have to follow anybody else's way or route, but this is how I am going to become that person whom I know I am.
So looking back at your career now, I mean, you're a mother of two, you're married, so you're a wife. And I'm just, just listening to your story, our catch-up session from when you sat in my edit suite, and I'm going, flop, I'm glad you went on the journey that you did and not ended up in this edit suite. I'm just so glad and impressed and blown away with your journey.
Thank you, Siraaj. I would kind of say, if I had stayed with the editing and followed Siraaj and shadowed you more, would my life not have a bit more stability? Because within the entertainment industry, it's not quite stable.
Just think about where we come from, Athlone, you know, a place where not a lot of people are able to go and pursue their passion, and because their passion, like in your case, is not the typical one, you know. I mean, depending on our family situation, you'd end up being a shelf packer at Pick n Pay, or you know, and I picture in our homes when you say, "Mommy, I want to be a singer," and that's not an obvious career choice within that family. People must have look at you going, "Are you mad?"
Yeah, exactly. There were many moments when I had that reaction from my family, even with the space of any art. I think like photography also, it's not something which is quite common, and something which is quite open, and same with singing. But because I had the opportunity and it was presented to me saying, you're going to travel, you're going to go, my parents were like, okay, if that's it, then experience a bit of life. And just with having that sense of trust and with support, one is always, I think when you're following your passion, you're always supported in some sort of a way. Sometimes it may not be monetary as you had expected. However, I'm grateful for the fact that I have a roof over my head, I have food on my table, and you know,
And a
and
beautiful
that's
family.
and a beautiful family, I think at this point, still my health as well, health as well. And so it's not like, the question is, what do we determine as success? And what is success? It's about being happy, and it's living your true self, and life not being a push and pull, but also knowing that all those other things you don't have to be worried about all of those types of things. But when you're pursuing your passion, I think everything just comes together. And if you follow what burns in your heart, mostly, yeah. Mm.
Cool. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. It's so cool to catch up with you once again. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing story. I hope it inspires other aspiring dreamers and people who just are looking at careers that are not regarded as the norm within our communities. And I really hope your story inspires people like that. So thank you so much, Cindy.
Thank you very much, Siraaj. Thank you for calling me out and asking me to be on your show and having me. And thank you from that first moment, Siraaj, when you said, when we sat together and when I met you. And look, yeah, all these years later, we find ourselves having such a chat again. Thank you, Siraaj.
Cool. Cheers.
All the
Bye.
best. Bye-bye.